stable, oh yeah, no label, oh yeah, you know me. I have only a path, I'm lonely, but damn, I'm going to win, yeah. Always do it on my own, so I gotta get through it. And the only thing I know is to love what I'm doing. Never give up, never slow, till I finally prove it. Never listen to the no's, I just wanna keep moving. Keep my head up when I act, head up, that's a fact. Never looking back, I'ma keep myself on track. Keep my head up, staying strong, always moving on. Feel I don't belong, tell my thoughts to move along. Push myself to be the best, die with no regrets. Live with every breath, see my message start to spread. And I had so many dreams, then you hit your teens. Life ain't really what it seems, try to find out what it means. Always do it on my own, so I gotta get through it. And the only thing I know is to love what I'm doing. Never give up, never slow, till I finally prove it. Never listen to the no's, I just wanna keep moving. Yeah, I put out all this art, it's my only medicine. Yeah, everything I do, I'm just being genuine. Yeah, I'm sick of being screwed, feel my own adrenaline. Yeah, I do just what I do, and I hope you let me in, yeah. I'm grateful, oh yeah, able, oh yeah, I'm stable, oh yeah, no label, oh yeah, you know me. I have only a path, I'm lonely, but damn, I'm going to win. I don't want no fake love, I want the real stuff. Everybody listen up, cause I'll only say it once. I'm gonna show you all the path, if you want it bad. I'm gonna show you where it's at, yeah, how you can get it back. Yeah, cause I ain't never done, I'll be number one.
Oh, let's talk about DHT hacking, shall we? Listen, one point I want to make real quick. Good morning, everyone. Hope you're doing great. Those of you that are watching this later, good afternoon. Happy Saturday. Hope you're great. All right. Moving right along here. So major point I'd like to get across to people regarding dialing in a TRT protocol is that even though we regard testosterone as like the most important hormone or a very important hormone, it is. And the reason that we regard it that way is because it converts to DHT and estradiol. That's basically it. You know, the bone mineral density optimization, the muscle strength, that comes from testosterone, the anabolism. That's what really testosterone is doing. Estradiol is aiding in joint health and allowing you to build muscle and not, like, you know, break your tendons and break your joints and have pain and whatever. That's what estradiol really serves to do, and it's mildly anabolic. DHT is mildly, very mildly, to a lesser extent than estradiol, anabolic. But DHT really, for the physique, accelerates fat loss and allows you to retain muscle. It's a really interesting look. You know, every time I've been on DHT derivatives or DHT stuff, my shoulders got more round. It was just a really interesting thing, and it was easier to keep fat off. But, you know, ultimately, DHT, though, is the penile maintenance and sexual function optimization hormone. I've explained this before, where, you know, the whole process of you becoming a man or becoming a male when you're in the womb really starts from adult levels of testosterone via your mother's HCG. Don't know if you knew that, but that's a pretty interesting fun fact. And then the conversion of that testosterone into dihydrotestosterone. Yeah, if you don't have 5-alpha reductase converting that T to DHT, well, then progesterone makes you a woman via progesterone receptor activation, which DHT blocks, you know. So DHT is very fucking important, but overall, besides animalism, what you're really looking to do when dialing in, you have to ask the question about dialing in. What are the levels of DHT and estradiol that I need? That's really the determinant of dialing in. Okay. Once you understand what those levels need to be for you, well, then you can dial in. And it will take running labs. Most of the time, I mean, sure, you could just kind of dial your dose in and go by feels. That's perfectly feasible to do. But ultimately, labs tell you a lot. But don't get scared by the labs. This is another thing about dialing in, you know? Maybe you need to be 2x, 3x the range of DHT. Yeah, maybe you need to be double the range of estradiol. I've seen it. You know, maybe you need to be double the range of both of them. It just really depends. This is why I think switching esters and trying cream and maybe trying some hybrid enanthate plus cream or enanthate plus prop or cypionate plus prop. You got to find your, because they all metabolize differently and do things differently. You know, maybe you need a surge of DHT at the receptors. Maybe you need topical DHT for, you know, fixing your long-standing ED. There's so many different nuances. That's why general broad brush TRT protocols are just not good to give because they don't apply to everyone. But ultimately what you're looking to do is dial in the metabolites. Okay, so that's one major thing that I wanted to talk about. And look, DHT hacking in and of itself is, that should be a more commonly discussed thing regarding testosterone replacement therapy. Are we on here? Yeah, we're good. Okay, yeah, DHT hacking. Like, you've got to understand, forget about the numbers, forget about how your doc looks at you, your GP who knows not a whole lot about this and looks at you at 1500 and thinks that's a problem. You know, because what if that testosterone's sitting in the blood and you're not converting enough of it to DHT? It's really not doing a whole lot. It's somewhat inert. It's maybe making you anabolic, but you don't have an erection quality. Like, you've got to figure out, okay, maybe the peaks in testosterone with testosterone propionate at somewhat of a high dose, 40 milligrams a day, 50 milligrams a day, maybe 100 milligrams a day for real serious situations, you know, serious sexual dysfunction. Maybe that's what you need in order to convert enough DHT. And you're not going to be able to get enough of that DHT from cypionate at 200 as an example. You know, the list goes on. Okay, so DHT hacking is a very important part of dialing in on TRT. We forget these metabolites and we just go, oh, total test. That's what it is in the forums. Oh, your test is 1300. Wonder why nobody knows shit about shit. Dude, it's the metabolites. That's what you've got to dial in. And I could go on forever about how to dial in DHT, but, you know, hopefully giving you some ideas about esters and maybe doing some hybrid protocols. Obviously, if you convert well, testosterone cream is very good for that. And so on and so forth and so forth and so on. All right, cycle updates. Yeah, still running about 700 milligrams total androgens per week, 70 milligrams prop every day. It's 490 milligrams of testosterone propionate a week, 3 pumps of testosterone cream on the testicles a day. That's about 210 a week. So we're right around 710. I think that is total androgens. Starting to get bigger now. I'm actually starting to notice it. Again, this takes time. I've had a couple people say, well, you're on super physiologic levels of androgens and, you know, don't have the muscle to show for it. Well, if you follow people's journeys, like Chase Irons as an example, and watch over the years as he's progressed, like, actually takes fucking time. Secondarily, though, I'm unwilling to eat substantially to gain muscle. My stomach doesn't like it. I'm not a bodybuilder. I'm actually experimenting with, you know, high dose testosterone and running this cycle for a variety of other reasons. I want to see how far I can push it. I want to see just how bulletproofed my body is from doing cardio in response to high levels of testosterone. This coming week, I'm going to be running a few blood markers, hematocrit, mainly lipids. We're going to run prolactin for the fuck of it. I'd like to see where that is because I haven't managed estrogen and I haven't needed to, which is also very bizarre. But now I understand that for me personally, with sky high levels of testosterone, I need estradiol to balance that out. I really do. Anyway, so that's about it. Yeah, I'm feeling fucking strong in the gym. I'm really focusing on each muscle group. Shoulders are kind of capping out, which feels good. My chest is growing. I'm generally stronger. You know, when I go to the gym, there's really never a day these days with 700 a test a week that I feel like it's painstaking to lift the weights that I want to lift. I just go in there, I feel energized, you know, I go on my run later on in the day and I'm pretty much fucking killing it. So those are the updates, boys. Let's get to questions. Morning, brother. Oh yeah, real quick, guys. Let me just do something quickly for you guys. Oh, I don't have it on here. What is the deal with that? Is that it? No, I don't. Weird. Vendor capture. There it is. Okay. So real quick, let me take myself down and show you guys. Yeah, the Torque stack right now is still buy one get one free. I'm going to show you how to do it super quickly. Okay, if you want a bottle of the Torque Nootropic stack, which if you want an epic nootropic stack that just works, that turns on your brain, you ought to buy a bottle. So you add a bottle to your cart. Okay, over here, we're going to check out. That's just the cart that pops up. We're going to go to the checkout window capture. We're going to go to the checkout thing over here. And all that really needs to happen for your purposes is down here where it says coupon code. You want to hit torquebogo, okay, torquebogo, and then hit apply. You've already got 1 bottle of torque in the cart at the moment. If you hit apply, now you have 2 bottles of torque for the same price. And you literally have that coupon that gives you another bottle of torque for $0. Okay. So if you guys want one of the most epic nootropic stacks you're ever going to get your hands on, I mean, believe me, this stuff is very strong. Look at how cool that label is. Yeah, it turns on brain energy in 25 minutes for people. I remember giving it to this girl that I was dating about a year ago, and we were, basically hanging out at this bar, and she had like 5 drinks at that point, and I gave her 2 capsules of torque, and within 10 minutes, she's like, holy fuck, I feel, she was like sober. She's like, okay, I feel great. All right, let's get to questions. Ghost Fusion, haven't seen you in a while, bro. Hope you're doing great. Have you had any issues with nicotine patches falling off or unsticking? I find if my body temp is slightly too high, it starts to come unstuck. No, the ones I've gotten were, honestly, the regular Walgreens brand 7 milligram patches. And I put them just under my breastbone. So I put them kind of like right here, put them right here. And they do not, fall off. They're actually really fucking cool. I have had them fall off if I put them on my arms, though. I'm pretty sure. I haven't dosed a nicotine patch in a bit, but putting it on my arms, it falls off, and putting it just below my breastbone, just below, kind of right on the rib area, it just stays. It stays the whole day and leaves a mark of all the sticky stuff when I take it off. So that might be your issue. But if you're sweating, then that's gonna happen. Parsons is digging the fade. Yeah, I'm changing it up a little bit, just a little bit, especially because I am shedding. My hair is shedding running this level of testosterone. So I'm trying to keep my hair as full as possible. Derma rolling the fuck out of it. Once a week, a good solid derma roll. I think you got to give that time after you do it. For the benefits, still running tacotrenols. I'm not running GHKCU anymore. It's a 5-AR inhibitor. I'm telling you, it goes systemic. There's a company that sells this stuff on Facebook who I commented on their post about it, that it was the next best thing and whatever. And I'm like, well, it's a 5-AR inhibitor. And they're like, you should check out our website. I encourage you to research our website because it doesn't go systemic. Like, you're talking to like the world's most sought out biohacker on sexual function and 5-AR inhibition problems. It goes systemic. So might not be a problem for people because finasteride isn't a problem for some people, but won't be touching that stuff again. I mean, I'll get a hair transplant before I touch finasteride. No fucking question. Lewis. All right, Lewis, how long does it take for Proviron to take effect on libido? Well, Proviron may not necessarily affect your libido. Have been taking 12.5 milligrams twice every 3 days and don't feel much. You're looking at a week to 2 weeks if it's going to affect you positively. Yeah. It's just going to be different for different people. If the DHT style effect at the AR is what you need, without lowering estrogen too much, because this is the problem with Proviron, where you've got to be careful, and you may have to have a high enough testosterone dose as to not lower estrogen too much, because it is an AI. It's not as strong as Arimidex, but it is an AI. It really is. More so than any other DHT derivative, by the way. More affinity for the aromatase enzyme. In fact, the only DHT derivative that I know of that has affinity for the aromatase enzyme. Yeah, Primo, as an example, probably Masteron as well. They're not actually binding to aromatase. They're taking the place of testosterone at the ARs in some instances, where then you just have less aromatizable androgen. So estradiol goes down as a result of that, not as a result of aromatase inhibition. Anyway, though, make sure you have enough tests that you aromatize enough. I think 12.5 twice a day is fine, for now. But if 2 weeks go by and nothing happens, okay, then you should up your dose and run 25 twice a day, so 50 total. If at any point in your tenure taking Proviron things get worse, well, then you've lowered the estrogen too much and you probably shouldn't take Proviron, or you should raise your test dose or raise your HCG dose, and then you're okay. As an example, I'll get low estrogen symptoms if I take 50 milligrams Proviron, 75 milligrams Proviron. Yeah, I mean, on a low dose of test, even 12.5 will give me some low estrogen symptoms after a couple of days, and that will mess with my libido. Whereas if the estrogen is up, all it does for me personally is make my erections harder and libido much better. assuming estrogen is in a reasonable range, and that's because it's acting like DHT to an extent. Now, being 1-methyl DHT means it's close to DHT and it acts like DHT, but it's not as potent as standalone powder, which is pure DHT. It's not nearly as potent. In order to get 80 milligrams of standalone, which I don't think you would want to take unless you had serious sexual dysfunction, you'd want a high dose actual DHT, but in order to get that, you would need 250 to 300 milligrams per viron. Just to give you an example of the potency difference. Hope that helps, brother. Daniel, what's up, Daniel? All right, Jeremy spoken. All right. If you aren't on anything but your estrogen is high and test a little bit low, can you take anastrozole and DHT together to boost tests and DHT? If your natural and estrogen is high and test is a little bit low, I know I would not fucking take anastrozole. Yeah, definitely not. That's going to take the estrogen down probably too far too quick. If you have for some reason you're over aromatizing, runs the gamut why you would be doing that, why your estrogen is higher than it should be. Booze contributes, pot contributes, but maybe you're not doing any of those things. If you've taken SSRIs or finasteride, then you block the conversion to DHT, and this can happen here. No, I would not take anastrozole at all. I would, in this case, probably take some calcium D-glucarate to metabolize some of that estrogen out of your body so that it doesn't get basically recycled back into your body in the process of trying to metabolize it out via glucuronidation. So that's what I would do, calcium D-glucarate if I were you. And I'd take the DHA as well, just to get a little more testosterone. And you might upregulate some backdoor dihydrotestosterone synthesis pathways by taking DHEA. It's 3 beta. I forget what the name of the enzyme is. Actually 2 different pathways that are aside from 5-AR that can do that. But you're better off in this case getting on TRT or getting on, at the very least, HCG and still having calcium D-glucarate to control that estrogen, if in fact estrogen is a problem. In the case of not having enough tests, which means you don't have enough DHT, estrogen is a problem if it's too high. It's really not a problem if you have a lot of androgens around. Let's get this bread. Nosy Blacklight says, I motivated him to start running and I'm doing a 5K in October. Fucking awesome, bro. Hoping to lower my blood pressure, improve circulation to the hands and the old wiener. Yeah, I love that, man. Yeah, running. If your hormone levels aren't straight, no amount of cardio is going to help ED, despite what people tell you. But if they are, it's only going to help erections be firmer and probably libido be a little better. But blood pressure for fucking sure. For sure. I got, like, when I started running, there was a point where I want to say it was like 4 days in, because I was running in the heat, 95 degrees. There was a heat wave here in Pittsburgh, and my blood pressure dropped too low. I had to start taking salt tablets, sodium chloride, a gram before a run, a gram after the run, lots of salt. And then I felt normal again. And then I had to load on that for a few weeks until I needed less of it at that point, in conjunction with salting my food pretty heavily. So yeah, bro, running is pretty awesome and it will lower your blood pressure. Almost definitely. It's such a simple resolution and you don't have to do marathons, the 5K is actually great. That's a perfect amount of distance right there. That's about what I run every day, slightly less. I'm running 2 miles, like the most I've ran in my 10-year running now, because I used to run 7 to 10 in the Army and then after the Army for about 5 years. The most I run now is 3 miles. Yeah, literally at an 8:30 or 9-minute pace per mile. And sometimes I will just slow jog the whole fucking thing, 9:50, 10-minute pace per mile. If you're getting that cardio, you're getting your blood pushing through your body forcefully by your heart. I book toward the end and do HIIT intermittently while running because I'm in the city, I'm crossing lights, I'm doing all this kind of shit, so I speed it up and whatever. A minute after I stop running, like when I'm coming back to the parking garage, I feel like shit, dude. I feel fucking terrible. I am spent. I am out of breath. I feel like I'm just about croaking, just about ready to croak. And that passes in about 40 seconds, right? But you want that. That's where it's at. So I'm glad I've inspired you, man. Keep it up. Awesome, bro. Good to see you. I don't know about Chrysin as a natural AI. I've heard of it though. I've heard that people use it. I just can't give you any definitive answer on whether or not it's effective. Beyond God, 666. That's a oxymoronic name. Or maybe it makes sense. Okay, on prop currently about 60 milligrams Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Great. So you're on 180 a week. Great. Instead of every other day, I do HCG 500 IU on Saturday or Sunday, then back to prop. Friday seems to be working great. Okay. You think I'm silly for letting prop go for 2 days? No. If you feel great, great. Yeah. Don't let any ideology around this or whatever proposed strategy or normalized strategy change how you do what is working for you ultimately. If this is working for you, keep it. I personally, I could barely do every other day of prop at 60 milligrams. Yeah, I need 70 or more every other day. But you're making it. Like I couldn't do 40 of prop every other day. I did that in the very beginning of prop and erections were great and all that was good, but I felt tired on the second day, just kind of a little useless for about 5 hours in the latter part of the day, which I don't. So if this is working for you, don't let anyone tell you any different, bro. I think it's great. You're on 180 total. You know, you're probably metabolizing prop in a way which is not super fast. You know, that's my issue. I metabolize shit really quickly. My body's just like, it's probably why I can tolerate right now high doses, among other reasons of testosterone. Yeah, I'm on 700 total androgens. Sleep like a fucking baby. I don't have heart palpitations. I have 97 to 99 oxygen saturation. I've got, you know, one of those actual oxygen saturation medical tools. You know, I have a home EKG that I run just for the fuck of it every now and then. All is well. But importantly, I sleep like a baby and I feel great and don't have side effects. I do not have side effects, but one of the primary reasons is because I'm running fast acting stuff that clears the body quick and I clear it quick. The follow-up question, HCG gives me estrogen issues. How much calcium D-glucarate do you recommend per day? Depends. You're going to have to figure it out. I've had protocols where, was it just 500? Nah, I'm pretty sure I needed a whole 1,000, but 500 in the morning, 500 at about 4 p.m. of calcium D-glucarate was perfect for me on that protocol, on that particular protocol. Yeah, for estrogen control. All right, so we got an anecdote about Proviron. Took it for over a month with test sip and didn't get a libido increase. Backed off because my hair was flying out. Yeah, you probably, again, you know, your 200 to test sip may not be enough testosterone in that case to supply you enough estrogen in order to keep things in check here. Libido on TRT is DHT based, but estrogen based as well. And estrogen really can't be low. You need that estrogen up for libido. Now it's in relation to your testo. So on TRT doses, again, 25, 35, 45 is probably max on like 110, 120 kind of thing. But people are fucking different. You go up to 250, 300, 350, you're going to need 50, 55 estradiol, you know, for libido. And it's better that you get peaks. Maybe it shoots up to 75 and it's there for a day or two, but then it drops back down to 55 or 45. That's really where you get a lot of the libido. And sometimes Proviron can do this, but Proviron is a godsend for people that when they lower their estrogen and they have adequate androgens around, their libido goes fucking crazy. That's what Proviron is really, really good for, among other things. Okay, Cass feels pretty bad without Masteron or Primo when taking 150 to 500 million. Yeah, everybody's different, you know. Again, also though, it depends on the ester. You know, I got some test flu-like symptoms. I didn't really have estrogen symptoms on running half a gram of enanthate a week. Yeah, was I doing 80 milligrams a day sub Q at that point, 570 a week. Yeah, I got a little test flu, which, you know, manifested as flu-like symptoms and a tiredness, just a tiredness throughout certain parts of the day where I had to take a nap and then it cleared. But that's a non-starter for me. I can't do that. So now I'm on 700 total androgens, prop and cream. None of that. I have no side effects whatsoever. And I don't have estrogenic side effects either. Yeah. You know, I need higher estrogen when I'm running higher levels of tests. And I've never run, you know, these higher levels of tests before, so I didn't know that I needed that, but I definitely do. I've evidenced that by trying to lower estrogen on these higher doses of tests, and I felt like fucking garbage. It's just the bottom line. So, you know, there's a +1 to the pro-estrogen group in relation to high levels of androgens. Yeah. All right, is Proviron and HCG only good to take for PFS? No, there's many applications for both. I wouldn't take just that though. I'd run test as well. All right, TDM, how would you switch from test C to test prop? You just make the switch right away. That's what you do, because if you wait 4 weeks for all that cypionate to be out of your blood, you're going to feel terrible, you know, and that it might take you a month or two to recover from the erectile dysfunction that's probably going to induce. So I wouldn't do that. I would switch to test prop, whatever your dose is going to be. And, you know, contrary to popular belief, the truth is a good degree of that cypionate is going to be out in 10 days. Yeah. 10 days. I mean, you know, people are fast metabolizers and then other people aren't. So it might take you longer. But I mean, if you're taking calcium D-glucarate, you'll get it out faster because testosterone also gets glucuronidated. And if you take calcium D-glucarate, you can prevent that from basically entering back into systemic circulation. It's a complex mechanism by which that happens. I'm like picturing it in my head. But yeah, I mean, just make the switch. Now, your first couple of weeks of the dose, so you're really not going to know how you're ultimately going to feel, but it's worth it. You'll probably feel great because you have got that surge of testosterone. It's peaking. It's faster. It's hitting you sooner. Everything about prop is fucking amazing. I love prop so much. It's my favorite ester period. Yeah. And then, you know, 2 weeks or so, that test C will largely be out. It's not affecting you majorly at that point. There's no more peaks at test C at that point. You know, it's just kind of slowly filtering out. Really not affecting you significantly, and fucking that's it. That's what I would do. Make the switch right away. I've got a pair of Nike running shoes. I forget off the top of my head what they are. Like what there's, you know, they can be Nike running shoes, but then there's like a secondary name for them, and I forget what they are. Yeah, if I had them, I would show you. They're downstairs. But what's important to me is like, man, I need somewhat of an arched sole. Like the bottom of the shoe needs to have a good arch. I can't. I mean, there are running shoes that are more flat. Like just the soles are flat and they don't have a good arch. I need that arch. It's better for me. I need them tight when I run. I need good fucking traction, and then I feel great. If I have the wrong shoes, my calves will be killing me. I won't actually feel good. Yes, 3 miles is it's kind of like the minimum effective dose, but it's more like HIT. I mean, I kick my own ass on those runs. I truly do, and I am fucked up for about a minute after the run, and then I feel great. Okay, Cass. Right, definitely looking into barefoot shoes. Oh, I've already done that. Yeah, back in the day. Yeah, that's one of those things that I guess some people can make it work. But it's also one of those things somewhat like all the other dogmatic things, like, oh, you should be doing this is the way we're supposed to run. It's natural. Like keto was like, we ate like in the Paleolithic ages, we didn't eat grains and all this, like, and not carbs. Like, fuck off. No. Try running barefoot. Go ahead and keep doing it. If you can do it, fine. You know, I did it 10 years ago. Remember, I've been in the biohacking game for 20 years. I did this 12 years ago. Yep. I bought, what are they called? Vibrams, whatever they were called when that was fucking popular. Oh, I did it before you probably even thought about it. And no, it was not good. So you should look into the fact that I've been doing this for years. Just joking. But sometimes I hate when people think they assume that I don't know something or whatever. I don't think barefoot shoes are a good idea, to be perfectly honest. And I think that's for everybody. All right, Trey, how do you manage your time? Do you know, I used to make a list. These days, it's more about knowing what needs to be done. I mean, for my web company, my clients drive that. Like and for Cortex Labs, you know, consulting clients drive that. You know, they need help. They need a document updated. They need me to reanalyze their protocol and adjust it. They need to give me feedback. I need to sit and think about their feedback and then figure out what went wrong or what is going well and how we can double down on that. So clients largely drive it. You know, with my web company, like for me, it's like Monday content days for Cortex Labs, but also a little bit of web work. Tuesday is strictly web work. Wednesday, content for Cortex Labs. Thursday, strictly web work. Friday, it's content again if I can, or it's web work, or it's somewhat of a day off. And then Saturday, obviously content here. And then the weekend I try to take off, but sometimes the workload doesn't allow me to do that. So I used to do all this, and then I recognized that now at this stage, the business is are my to-do lists. You know, it all comes to me. You know, a client will say, hey, I need this or that, or I got some bloods back. Okay. You know, I'll mark that on my iPhone on a to-do list for that day, but I don't pre-make them anymore. It kind of just comes about and I've got to decide, you know, how to do it. The thing that is, you can do away with to-do lists as long as you do the most important things as soon as possible. Like Brian Tracy, who's a personal development guy. He's like 80 now, but he's got some of the best content personal development ever. Used to say eat the frog, which is a phrase used to describe like do the most important shit right away. Just get it done. Eat the frog. And yeah, as long as you're doing the most important shit that's actually impactful. The reason people can't be productive is they're not doing the impactful shit, right? Because it might be hard, you might procrastinate or whatever. Just get the right shit done. All right. There is no cookie cutter protocol for anyone. Nope. That's going to keep you, you know, guessing and whatever. You need to do the work. That's the bottom line. You got to do the work to figure out what works. And it's like you can go through every sipping aid protocol under the sun. Might not be the best ester for you. You know, anything might be the best ester for you. Again, as I said in the beginning, you've got to figure out where your metabolites need to be. Dialing in on TRT is about, you know, how much DHT and how much estradiol do I need? Testosterone is less relevant. How would you handle hot flashes and head pressure? Well, look, tension type headaches, the pathophysiology of tension type headaches, estrogen is always implicated in them. If you go research PubMed that, or even just Google it and put the word study at the end of it, like estrogen and tension headaches, and then studies, and go and read. Estrogen is really implicated in all of that. So, you know, you've got to get a hold on how quickly your estrogen is rising or how long it's staying around. And that will probably help. Alternatively, though, I have seen these kinds of side effects with long esters go away on short esters. You know, here we go again for, you know, pumping up prop and cream. I've seen that happen before, right? And prop to even a greater extent. Cream, I think, sticks around a little longer than prop, to be honest with you. Yeah, if I don't rub the cream on my testicles, if I rub it on my arms, I get more of an estrogen conversion and not as much of a DHT conversion, and too much of it will give me side effects. Yeah, like I couldn't run the equivalent of 700 milligrams cream on my shoulders. No way. I would have sides. I'd have head pressure. I've gotten that before as well. Never quite had hot flashes, but yeah, this is, even if labs look good, it's causing, you know, I mean, there is tissue around your skull, kind of in the prefrontal cortex area. Forget exactly the mechanisms for this, or at least the underlying neurophysiology or neuroanatomy, but there is, God, what the fuck is it? Because I studied this. You know, there are physical structures that tighten, and that is the problem. Case, but it's always hormone mediated. You gotta look at changing esters. You know, if this is cypionate, try enanthate, but better yet, try cream or prop, and I bet that'll go away. All right, thoughts on Proviron as a replacement for Arimidex? Yeah, totally, absolutely. Yeah, safer, better. You know, still might fuck with your lipids if you're not careful, if you don't do cardio, if you don't eat well, if you smoke too much, if you drink, those kinds of things. But Proviron is definitely an AI. Yep, definitely functions as an aromatase inhibitor, and it's pretty effective at doing it. Definitely effective at doing it. 200 milligrams per milliliter, and I'll have it in front of me. 200 milligrams per milliliter. I'm running 3 pumps a day of that on top of 70 milligrams prop every day. And this is transcrotal cream. I mean, you can rub it anywhere, but it's right on the testicular skin. The old scrotum. Okay, swish or swish, is Picamillin more bioavailable when you take it sublingually? Probably. I think most things are. It hits you faster and it enters the bloodstream, you know, faster. Yeah. You've got, epithelium underneath your tongue. It enters the bloodstream very quickly. Starts affecting you. Stitching, no FAP. I miss your nootropics videos nowadays. It's only TRT and other related physical enhancements. Yep. And we won't be going back to strictly nootropics. There's a lot of reasons for that. You know, number one, the market in general, both in terms of views and popularity, as well as like the business side of that. Well, the business side of it's very good, but this might sound demeaning, but the strictly nootropics people, number one, a lot of them Some of them are want to enhance performance, and that's what I'm talking about. But a lot of them like want to take nootropics for a high, like they're drugs, and that's just stupid. Secondarily, a lot of them are ignoring lifestyle and testosterone specifically, and trying to take nootropics to compensate for what ultimately is a mild test deficiency, because hormones control neurotransmitters so significantly. So it's almost it's like dubious a little bit for me to have been strictly talking about nootropics and not talking about testosterone. Number three, there's a well, I mean, the market dynamics are different. People that are into TRT and testosterone are usually much more assertive, aggressive, alpha male types that are, have their own companies or are doing well in the occupational sector. So those guys, in terms of the business metrics for our company, we do much better in that regard, which works out great. It's just honestly so much better. I mean, a good degree of the nootropics folks will scoff at a $35 product. It's like, what the fuck have you been doing for the last 10 years of your adult life that you scoff at that? So there's a lot of reasons for it. Ultimately, though, stagnation in growth of the channel regarding nootropics. Nootropics we all know about. We do. But Gen Pop doesn't. Gen Pop is still down here, and it's been years. I gave it enough years to know that nootropics will still be fringe to a good degree of the population. The Vibram 5-finger shoes were brutal on my feet and fucked up my toe box. Absolutely. Yep, they will. And it's the same thing with, keto and you'll fat adaptation. You'll fat adapt. No, that's cellular starvation. Yeah. Understand biology just a little fucking bit before you go repeating your blogger's fucking favorite, whatever, your favorite YouTuber's shit. It's the same thing. You're going to adapt to running barefoot to an extent. You're also going to injure yourself. Yeah, you don't run barefoot. Not on cement, at least. You can do that maybe on grass for short distances. Ryan, what do you recommend in terms of diet? Ryan, what would you recommend in terms of diet carnivore? In terms of diet carnivore? Keto for gains and health-wise on TRT. Brother, please format your sentence like so it's normal. I wouldn't suggest carnivore or keto on TRT. No, carnivore and keto. If you're gonna do them, you need to carb refeed. Bottom line, you need the carbs, boys. You need to carb refeed. You can get away with doing these diets if you carb refeed. Yeah. Because, you start, dude, the metabolic byproducts that you build, just as one bad thing as a result of gluconeogenesis are not healthy for you. You're stressing every system, not the least of which is, cranking up noradrenaline and adrenaline through gluconeogenesis. That's why people feel good initially. That's called the catecholamine honeymoon. Okay, there's a phrase for that, because you're making a bunch of them because your body's stressed the fuck out from not having carbohydrates and having to upregulate gluconeogenesis. And, turning your fatty acids and your amino acids into glucose. It's a starvation mechanism. That's exactly what it is. There's no debating that at all, by the way. There's no debating that at all. Fat adaptation is a starvation mechanism. Go read the scientific literature on starvation. These people won't tell you that. Yeah, eat everything. Eat chocolate cake. No, eat real food. That's what I suggest. Don't avoid fucking grains because Rob Wolf or Mark Sisson said so. These guys are dogmatic. No. Eat everything. If things don't agree with you, don't eat those things, but try to figure out why they don't agree with you. It's usually a gut bacteria problem. Or whatever. Like you don't agree with cheese. Don't eat a lot of cheese. I don't really agree much with cheese. A little bit, but too much. And I start getting stuffy nose and all these weird congestion issues. It's whatever. Real food, real protein, real carbs, real vegetables, real fruits, real fruits, some snacks. I do eat some degree of processed sweets, but it's very minimal compared to an otherwise disproportionately healthy real foods diet. Balanced. You can't get provided from a clinic, unfortunately. You've got to get that UGL. Hopefully, you can get pharmaceutical grade mesterolone. That's available out there because, it is available as a product in other countries. So it is being sold on the, on the underground market. But, it's one of those things that you got to really know where to get things from. And I've got a source list coming out, paid products. So, you know, that will be on there. Everything will be on there. But we can't talk about, you know, sources and stuff on the channel. YouTube discourages that. So that's the thing. Well, this is a good question. Will high estrogen running Proviron help you keep your hair? High estrogen will help your hair to an extent. But if the DHT-like effect at the AR is still present, you're going to have hair shedding if it passes a certain threshold, right? Specifically the AR binding in the scalp. That's really it. But, you know, it's thinner subcutaneous fat tissue in the scalp, which androgens obviously do facilitate. You know, that's basically the bottom line of hair loss, right? And then your hair follicles have more pressure on them because there's not this subcutaneous fat tissue that's kind of allowing them to not have so much pressure on them. So estrogen will help to a degree, but not to a degree enough to keep your hair. My estrogen's pretty high right now. There's no question about it. And I'm still shedding. So I am still shedding hair. I'm having to keep up with it, and we'll see. But I don't think I'll have to stop again, my hair genetics are pretty good. Everything's still pretty intact. I won't have to stop the cycle for that. Yeah. If I run bloods and something looks really wacky, then I'll stop the cycle. But, other than that, staying on for now. Okay, thoughts on IWC with Torque? I think it's great. Yeah, I think I've done that combo before. You'll feel very dopaminergic because Torque in and of itself is a dopamine-centered stack. It's a dopamine-style nootropic. Look at the bottle. It's buy one get one free, brothers. Right now, code is in the description. Look at that sexy bottle. Woo! Take 2 capsules, energy for 6 hours, but stacking them together would be useful. I just wouldn't do it consistently. Probably have too much dopamine-like stuff going on. Might get teeth grinding, among other things. Jay Brody says, how do I know if I should use Rimidex, 150 milligrams, or use a high dose of test to get sexual function? I can't sensitive estrogen test in the UK. 150 milligrams, bro, I would not touch the estrogen. And I don't know if you're micro injecting, but if you are and you don't have sexual function, I would switch to twice a week. Yeah, at that same, so 75. And therein you'll probably get your libido back if it's a problem right now. I know that it sucks to not know where estrogen sensitive is because you're in the UK and they don't have that over there, which is crazy. So you're kind of, you know, guessing a little bit there. You're sitting in the dark a bit about what estrogen really is, but ultimately of the 2 options, I would go higher dose test or more at once and not managing estrogen. Yeah, because the 150 crosses that threshold. Now, if you were at 110 or 120, you wouldn't really need to manage estrogen at all. You know, I don't think, unless you really, really over aromatized and you were getting significant symptoms. If you don't have symptoms, but you have sexual function issues, it's a coin flip. You might need to lower the estrogen, and that gives you your libido and erections back, or you might need to raise the test or have more injected at once to get peaks in everything. Yeah, I would measure your DHT and see where that is, and then do what you can to get that above the reference range, and that will likely help. Yeah. All right, brothers. Robert might be quitting some carnivore. Yeah, I mean, ultimately, you're gonna end up feeling crappy. Yeah, I mean that. The other thing about it too is if you're not on TRT, your testosterone's gonna tank. Women lose their periods on keto and carnivore. They all do. They lose their periods. How can that be healthy? You know, men's thyroid hormones stop synthesizing to a large degree. You don't have fuel substrate for gram-positive gut species when you don't eat carbs. I mean, all these things are pretty easy to learn, but again, if you're listening to a blogger or a YouTuber, they don't say these things. Not sure why. Rackpole, good morning, brother. Body fat is personally good, but just out of curiosity, how drastically have you seen E2 reduce your clients that go from higher body fat to a more athletic, healthy body fat? How drastically have I seen E2 reduce in client? Oh yeah, 15 points. Yeah, 15 points. Yeah, I mean, it can reduce pretty significantly. You're still going to aromatize, like, yeah, I mean, you're still going to aromatize a good degree, regardless if you're on enough testosterone, but it can go down significantly. The best example would be to look at somebody who is like 280 pounds and they're on 150 milligrams of testosterone and their estradiol 76. That shouldn't be, right? But if that person went to 180 over the course of a 2-year transformation, their estradiol would be about 50 instead of 76, from that. That's about as accurate as I think it gets. I haven't seen what that is, but I'm sure parts of it are useful, and then parts of it are dogmatic and theoretical. Yep. A lot of theory out there. Most of it's actually theory. Best stack to improve eye contact. Well, you need confidence there. I mean, so testosterone plays a huge fucking role in that. Anything dopaminergic would help. Back in the day when I ran a lot of nootropics, anything, basically the old Cortex stack, which is uridine 150, citicoline 75, artichoke extract 90, and bacopa 300. It made me an absolute beast of a productivity person. And in that regard, I could also be highly confident in who I was. I was just very motivated, and there I could maintain eye contact with people and just, be very confident. That's ultimately what you're looking for, is confidence. Yes, a good degree of it. Some of it will be UGL, because some stuff, you won't be able to get pharma grade, or you want to also give people more options. Like sure, I might be able to get pharma grade propionate, right? But it's a 50-day turnaround time where I could get good quality UGL propionate, which is measured well and is not underdosed, and it'd be at my doorstep in 15 days, just as an example. Yeah. So it will be everything. Mike says, changed my body recently. What have you done? Well, now I'm on high dose testosterone. Okay. So that's one major facilitator via protein synthesis and general, testosterone sticking around, affecting skeletal tissue, affecting muscle tissue. So I'm pretty anabolic at this point. I work out in the morning at the gym for about 40 minutes and then run every day. So I'm actually less big than I could be, because running kind of takes a little bit of that off, but it's worth it. The cardio is very worth it. I haven't drank in 2 years, maybe more. And I eat a real food diet, just real food. Yeah. I don't miss drinking or smoking pot, or I don't miss it. I actually always felt kind of terrible. I would feel good temporarily. It's like this weird trade-off. You feel good and you're not even yourself, and it's this fake confidence. And then you ultimately feel shitty as you become in the withdrawal of those drugs, and it's just bad. So I sleep 7 hours a night every night. Once every 5 months I have a bad night's sleep. Seriously, maybe twice. And that's it. I'm not around people who suck my energy out. If I look at myself like 4 years ago when I was around my ex-alcoholic girlfriend, who was a terrible person in a variety of ways, I looked like shit. Now that was because I was eating like shit. I was only doing nootropics. My brain was primed, really good, but I wasn't working out much. It was like COVID came around. I was drinking tequila at night. It just wasn't good. So, I'm just doing all the right things. But test specifically, man, that's why, and test and working out is why I'm more anabolic. My complexion is generally just, I don't know, better, I guess. I've been on test for long enough now where I don't bloat anymore, no matter what. I'll bloat a little bit on a long ester when I was running 560 of enanthate, but 700 of total androgens and fast-acting esters, I really don't have much bloat, which is just phenomenal. Do I still game? Yes. Good nootropics for gaming. Modafinil, definitely. Torque is a go-to. Cortex is a go-to. Okay, so this stack right here will have you gaming insane for about 5 hours, maybe more. Cortex the same. Modafinil obviously very effective for that. Racetams too, because they turn on that memory, that calculated brain style thinking, and it's really cool. You're just better, especially at tactical shit. But yeah, I do. The beta for BO6, Black Ops 6, just launched yesterday. And so this is the first weekend of it. And after my run today, which will be after this stream, I'm going to play the beta of Black Ops 6. I've seen all my favorite YouTubers playing it, and it looks pretty good. I think the movement's a little clunky, but there's also new movement. There's this omni movement thing. You can dive backwards and shoot people. It's really cool. So I'm excited for that. But largely I've been playing a lot of Modern Warfare 3, Warzone 3. That's kind of where it's at. That's, besides Modern Warfare 2019, that's the best, Call of Duty out right now. I think it's still going to be better than Black Ops 6. Difference between anabolic and androgenic steroids. Well, like Proviron is an androgenic steroid as an example, not very anabolic. So it largely affects, acne, masculinization, virilization. Your voice will deepen using Proviron for long enough. Likely shed some hair, have better erectile quality, etc. As long as you're not crushing the estradiol. And anabolic steroids like Anavar, oxandrolone is much more anabolic than it is androgenic. Testosterone is frankly a little more anabolic than it is androgenic, despite it being 1-1. Like it's pretty anabolic. It's androgenic, sure, but that's because of DHT. That's all. So that's basically the difference. Like Primobolan as an example, androgenic to an extent, but largely anabolic, and that's a DHT derivative. But the way that it is metabolized is that your body doesn't clear it like it does DHT significantly. It's allowed to sit around and give you anabolism. So that's the major difference, man. DHT itself, DHT powder standalone, that's androgenic. That's like fucking strictly androgenic, a little anabolic, but really androgenic. I've got some reporting to do on the DHT powder that I have, but I need more time. I need more time to before I report on that. All right, is 1x a week sub-Q test worse for sexual function versus IM? Don't know. No, because it's going to be different between people, bro. I think this is better in general than like pinning every day. Yeah, I think so, because you get more boluses at once, which means you get more conversion of everything. You're gonna have higher levels. So the difference between a 1500 peak and a steady state 1000 might be your libido. It might be your libido. It's just sucky on steady state 1000. You don't peak at all. Body gets used to that. Whereas a 1500 peak, you get some more DHT conversion, you get a higher peak of estradiol, and the libido really starts ramping up there. So, now once a week IM, that will give you higher peaks than the sub-Q. The sub-Q will be fine if it's once a week like this. And if you can tolerate it. Some people can't, because by day 5, they feel shitty even on sub-Q because the test is coming out. But IM, it might be good if you don't metabolize super fast. Like I can't do once a week of a long ester because I metabolize very quickly. So I start feeling bad at like day 4, day like 3.5, I'll start feeling bad. Like I just need more testosterone. So if you metabolize it pretty normally, as it's intended to be metabolized, or as it should be metabolized, then once a week IM will be fine. You'll have a nice peak. You'll feel fucking good. And you'll feel good for the rest of the week. Every 5th day is a pretty popular protocol, though, just so you know. Yeah, pretty popular protocol. Devil Dog, were you able to discuss TRT clinics we use? Yeah, definitely. I have like the one I use has no monthly fees, only charges for blood work and medicine. Well, even that is too much, because you should just be using discounted labs, because these guys kind of overcharge to an extent. I never get labs through Defy. When I did my last having to send them labs, it was like 4 or 5 months ago. They wanted me to purchase this comprehensive panel. Like, no, I'll just go to discounted labs. Thank you, though. Thank you. It's part of their business model. It's like, I'm not doing that shit. But that's good that they have at least cheap prices. Darren, does not NBBC actually improve dopamine permanently? Will that increase dominance? It's hard to say if it does it permanently, but I mean, considering it's studied for Parkinson's, yeah, you would assume so. Yeah, we would assume so. We would assume so. I think it does. It's subtle, especially if you don't have major dopamine problems. It's subtle, but I think it does. Always ditch the life suckers. Absolutely, Ryan. Yes, thank you for the super chat, brother. Yep, that's one thing I learned long time ago. I am not a lone wolf, right? Because I date and I have friends here in Pittsburgh and I have family back home, but I can only be around people for a certain amount of time before I need to stop being around people. Yeah, really good quality people I love being around, right? And that's all fine, but I still need my time. But I don't know. Most people aren't epic, good quality, good-hearted fucking people, and you can tell, I can smell it. And I don't like being around those people, Gen Pop or just the world in general. People, you got good people, you got to hunt to find them. You got to really find high quality people and be around those people. Otherwise, people suck the life out of you. So I take pride on being somewhat of a lone wolf. It's the only way I've been able to be successful in business. If I was at the local Cheers bar with, the popular people from each city that I lived in, I would never get anything done. Brother, what do you recommend if you crash your estrogen after Proviron HCG and test use? Stopping whatever crashed it and letting it come back up. It'll come back relatively quickly. Proviron's half-life is 12 hours. You're probably looking at about 40 to 50 hours for that estrogen inhibition property to be completely ceased. And then thereafter, you'll have a good surge of estrogen. And you might have little side effects in that surge, but stick with it and things go back. Samuel is a beta male. What stack should I take? Yeah, TRT, bro. Get your test up. You get that testosterone up, and those kinds of things change. Yeah, when in my early 30s, when I was hypogonadal, basically early 30s, I had sexual dysfunction. I was not an assertive male around women. I was in business, but not around women. I got my test up naturally, and that helped significantly. TRT, though, completely different fucking story. I'm an animal. Okay, Robert Washington, when you inject sub-Q, do you have more estrogen conversion? Well, it's different between people, but it depends on if you're injecting bolus at once, then yes, you will, versus microinjections, which will ultimately mean less peaks, but isn't always good because maybe you need the peak. The thing about sub-Q dosing, if you're doing it frequently especially, is that you have steady state estradiol, so you never get a trough. And that's a problem for guys that need lower estrogen. They need to be troughing down. I mean, there are people that need to sit at 20, and then that's the only time that their dick works, at 20 of estradiol, with whatever level of androgens. So, some people can tolerate a lot more too as well. All depends on a host of things, but sub-Q generally means more estrogen sticking around and no trough. And that's problematic for guys that need lower estrogen to function. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you'll get that. So that's an androgenic effect that you got there, but it might have been taking your estrogen down a little too low. And again, estrogen's the driver besides DHT of libido on test. You do. It's just the problem with estrogen too is a good degree of the studies that show these thresholds after which you have problems with erections and stuff. They're never really in the context of super physiologic androgen. So, you got to take it for what it is. It does apply to some people to not push estrogen above 25 or 30. It's a lot of people actually, but then there's people who just need to have it peak for libido. And so that's the danger of giving broad brush recommendations around TRT. People are going to be different. They really are. And it sucks. No, it is not too late. If you got on TRT at a pretty high dose and you threw in a DHT derivative like Primobolan, your voice would deepen. If you could get your hands on DHT powder and start taking it, your voice would deepen. Yep. Every time I'm on higher doses of testosterone or DHT derivatives, my voice is noticeably deeper. Like it's just very deep. And then like on lower doses, it's less deep, dude. Seriously. Like when I ran 112 a week of Enanthate, I did that for, 2 months, 3 months. My voice was not as deep. Truly true. Truly true, bucko. Hey, bucko. Ray Tango, can Masteron be used in terms of E2 control? Yes. Vigorous T talks about it lowering SHBG too much long term. It probably will. I mean, a lot of these things bind to SHBG. They have affinity for SHBG, so probably lower it. But maybe that's not bad for you. It's not definitely bad to lower SHBG even to the single digits so long as everything else works. And there are people for whom that's the case. Tip of the spear, Ryan, are you worried about Proviron lowering SHBG too much? No, it was kind of just what I was just talking about. No, it's never been a problem for me personally, but it can be a problem for others. I only get a benefit when I take the right dose of Proviron for me regarding SHBG because it's freeing up DHT, it's freeing up free testosterone, it's freeing up free hormones. So it ultimately ends up working out fine, but too much. The only problem I will have with Proviron is too much of it with not enough tests, and then I get low estrogen symptoms. Costa, opinion on taking GABA before sleep versus after the gym? Well, I mean, it might help in both situations, but I would honestly do it before sleep. When you're going to the gym, you want to be an animal. So I wouldn't be taking it before the gym personally. All right, Matt, would you compare testosterone enanthate to propionate and cypionate of the peaks and troughs? When should someone check blood if they did daily or twice a week? All right, let's take one of your questions here and answer it. Would you compare enanthate to prop and sip of the peaks and troughs? All right, rephrase that, please, so that any human reading it understands what that means. Yes, civilians. That's probably what I fucking mean, bro. Yeah, I mean, there's some squared away civilians, dude. There's squared away civilians. There are. And those are the greatest people to be around. You know, greatest people to be around. Squared away civilians. Just squared away people in general. I was on a date last night and this woman was squared the fuck away. On time. You know, very fresh and just awesome. Yeah, squared away. Peter Wrangler. How long after taking Arimidex does estrogen return to baseline? Day 3, it'll start creeping back up. By day 7, it's fully back where it was. Sam, hey Ryan, would you recommend trying HCG monotherapy before TRT? Yeah, sure. Definitely. Yeah, I mean, it could be very useful. You're going to get your numbers up 800, 900. I've seen 1500. I've seen 1200 on HCG. I mean, it's dose dependent, right? But yes, if you have apprehensions about going on testosterone, then sure. Run HCG mono and see how you fare. It might be all you ever need. Like, it might get you symptom resolution and, you don't have side effects. You don't have to really worry about estrogen all that much. And, the sexual system's fucking flaring. If that happens, you're set. Part of me wishes I could just run HCG monotherapy because then I'd have a lot less suppression, still suppression from the brain point of view, but not the testicular point of view. Because the suppression does affect sexual function. That's why you need HCG. I run 500 every other day now, 500 IU every other day at this point, just because I'm on high doses of TAS. But sure, if you can make it work, bro. There's nothing wrong with that. It's sustainable over time, and that's it. Yeah. Karim, hey man, do you personally notice body recomp changes when you started pinning? Oh yeah, I unfortunately store fat in my ass. Love handles, thighs, prop is in the mail. Great, good luck, man, good luck. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it took a while. I'd been going to the gym prior to that and trying to, get my body in a reasonable place. Diet plays a fucking big role in it. The alcohol specifically, when I was drinking, was killing my body composition. So that's one thing. Again, it's a lot easier to stay in your calorie range, to stay in a reasonable calorie range when you're eating real food versus processed food. That's just the bottom fucking line. I took a trip because my sister had a baby 2 weeks ago, and I had to largely eat processed food. And it's like I ate the same amount of food or even less and fucking put on more fat. It's like, God damn it, it's the worst thing. And there are people who eat like that all the time. That's all they eat. And they think it's like okay because it's, it's a hoagie from Subway or a packaged food, like packaged chicken and green beans and potatoes, but it also has other shit, God, it's insane. But yeah, oh yes, I mean, there's a cumulative effect with testosterone where body comp, changes, and then you reach a plateau until you up your dose or get some DHT, in the picture. Like I probably maxed out on, 150 to 180 milligrams of testosterone cypionate a week. I could be anabolic, but I maxed out. Now that I'm on a cycle of testosterone, I'm growing again. It's slow, but I'm definitely growing again. Everything's bigger. It feels good. I feel stronger in the gym. My pumps are gnarly, dude. I look fucking gnarly. This ain't shit. Okay, Mike, would you go higher test or add Arimidex to 150 milligrams for someone with PSSD? Okay, didn't you ask this same question before and now it's in the context of PSSD, or am I getting that wrong? In this case, it depends. You got to include context. Is nothing happening? In these conditions, I'll answer it this way. In these conditions, you need a certain level of the testosterone metabolites. Testosterone itself isn't doing much for you there, and it won't, but you need it because it turns into DHT and it turns into estradiol. But you need to figure out what level of the metabolites that you need. And in these cases, it might be hardcore high levels of them, even high levels of estrogen I've seen in PSSD and PFS. Now, some of them, they need lower estrogen, but some of them, they need peaks of everything, DHT and estradiol. Some of them need raw DHT, Andractum, the topical dihydrotestosterone cream every day, and that just cures everything. I've seen a guy who had, it was PFS, and this is going to sound fucking crazy, and I don't think this is going to apply to everyone. 180 milligram dose of standalone, which is dihydrotestosterone powder, cured him. So It runs the gamut. It doesn't cure everybody because I've tried to replicate that. It didn't cure the next guy, but that fucking did for that guy. So you're going to need to get the metabolites to a reasonable place. I wouldn't mess with 8X yet. I would try both things. You need to see whether reasonable test or super physiologic test, but not 2000, 1200 or something. And then 30 estradiol solves your problem with gonadotropins, by the way. You need to keep your testicles functional. Or if 1500 tests or 1200 tests, but like peaks, meaning more injected at once, peaks of estradiol, 55, 75, and then troughs with high DHT solves your problem. Or you need to see if adequate test, adequate estradiol, but high DHT solves your problem. In addition to gonadotropins. Whew. Okay. Kareem also says, can clomiphene be used in place of HCG as an LH booster? It can. I have a lot of leftover SARMs. Okay. Yeah, it can be used. You know, I think it's a dirtier drug. It keeps you more natural, but it's still not natural. I wouldn't be blocking estrogen receptors. It just can cause problems. Vision problems, blood clots to a much lesser frequency. You're a lot less likely to have that, but it can happen. I wouldn't fucking want to do that. Yeah, I would use HCG. Forget about the whole shutdown deal. I would use HCG. Just the best we have. Just the best we have right now. Unfortunately, because it could be better. It could be better. Robert, for workouts, you take Torque or any nootropics? I run Torque and or Cortex before workouts some days. Phenylparacetam hydrazide is one that I somewhat recently ran a couple times before workout. It was fucking intense. Yeah, that's about it though. Other than that, I'm usually pinning testosterone before I'm going to the gym. So, you know, when I get there, test is going up. So I'm feeling that. Salt tablet, 500 milligrams or 1,000 of sodium chloride, usually useful for me in the morning in the summertime because I'm burning sodium running outside. So that's that, brother. All right. Fro 1967 is going from microdosing 19 milligrams of test sip and 90 IU HCG, it looks like daily. DHEA 50 milligrams every day and a very low erection quality through 3 years. So I've shifted to 125 test sip, 500 IU Friday, 500 IU Tuesday plus 50 milligrams. Sounds legit. Yeah. So it looks like you're now injecting that testosterone once a week, Friday, and 500 IU Tuesday. Oh, Friday and 500 IU Tuesday. How you said that, it looks like it's sip once a week and then HCG twice a week. Whatever the case is, less frequent is going to be better for you if you have erection problems. And if less frequent bolus injections don't solve the problem, which they probably will solve the problem, maybe even higher dose, less frequent injections, switch esters and still get high amounts of testosterone. Go every other day with prop, 80 milligrams or so. And yeah, you'll probably get everything back. Who knows? You're going to have to determine whether or not you need NAI, you know, it's so hard to tell. Like, I mean, a lot of the symptoms that are classical high estrogen symptoms, like nipple sensations that are either painful or may cause you to itch, water retention, those things go away. They go away. I don't have a fucking shred of it, you know. Last estradiol like that I ran was 65 picograms per milliliter. I had no side effects at that time. None. So, you know, you're going to have to see. You know, these days I'm giving less advice on estrogen. I mean, for TRT doses, it's all about ratios. You want to keep it in a reasonable 25 to 35 range. You know? If you have no dick function, then it needs to peak. But, you know, you start getting into higher doses of testosterone and you just need that estrogen to feel better. Because you get side effects from high dose of tests when the estrogen can't commensurately go. You know, I have a client that needs to aromatize just commensurately with testosterone and then he gets libido. We had tried a bunch of different things. We couldn't quite get it. And then, you know, we basically got him to not touch estrogen for 3 months. And then finally he was aromatizing at the level that his body wanted for the testosterone that he had. And his libido came back. Better balancer in a stack, theanine or GABA? Definitely theanine. Yeah, this guy got eye floaters. Ryan got eye floaters from clomiphene. Samuel Turner, have you tried Alex Kickle's PP grow protocol? Funny. No, but I know Alex personally. I know Alex literally personally. Yep. He lives in my city, and I talk to him and his girl once or twice a week. Yeah, now, because him and I are doing a project, a separate project unrelated to biohacking, but somewhat related to biohacking, actually, on his side. Yeah, I know Alex. Well, he's a good guy. A good fucking guy. All right, Matt, would you compare... Would I compare? Would you compare anything to testosterone cypionate and testosterone propionate? CSA. Wait, the question is, would I compare enanthate to testosterone cypionate and testosterone propionate? Okay, man. Please speak like a regular human being. If there's a language barrier there, I apologize. All right, Karim, last question. When doing TRT plus with test prop and primobolan, how often would you pin the primo? I plan on doing daily prop injections. Primo enanthate, okay, great. Should I pin that 2 times a week? You're either gonna need to pin that 2x weeks or more at once or every day. And it really all depends on if it gives you side effects, lower estrogen side effects, because it can do that. Yeah, I mean, it runs the gamut. I can't give you a definitive answer. Because everyone's going to be different, brother. You know, maybe sub-Q every day, maybe twice a week. You need to see what works for you. Yeah. Mike wasted 6 months doing the Ryan Rooster protocol for PSSD. I'm going to try high test. Yeah. Again, been telling people these guys are talking about sodium valproate and all. I've never seen any of that work. You know, never ever. You know, so I don't know why. I just, yeah. Whatever was going on with him was probably different. You know, I mean, the guy didn't even take finasteride. How do you call that post-finasteride syndrome or PSSD? He was conflating them. They're different conditions. You don't conflate those two. They're different. But yeah, sure. Get on high test. You may need to be at 3,000 or 4,000 nanograms per deciliter. You might. Okay. Run that. You're not going to die if you run that for a year to confirm that. But ultimately, it's about the metabolites. So you may need to get your hands on some DHT cream. Yeah. I mean, if you got penile atrophy, you need DHT. That's the bottom line, brother. So get your hands on, if you can, some DHT cream. It is out there and it is purchasable. You just have to be resourceful. I'm going to put out a source list. It's a paid product, so we'll have that soon. But in the meantime, you can look. You will need some DHT for this. You will. Yeah. I mean, test might cure it, but high dose test. But if you're not converting enough of your test to DHT, that's usually the problem. When test doesn't work for sexual dysfunction, you're not converting enough test to DHT, then you'll need some actual DHT. Alex is a house. Yeah, he's a good guy. He's a big dude. Yeah, he's a big dude. Oh, here we go. Do I think the Tate brothers? I think definitely. Yeah, they're both on androgens. They're both on TRT. I mean, Andrew lost his hair, right? He's got no hair. Tristan has like Norwood 2 or 3. I'm not really that familiar with the Norwoods, but you can tell he's been losing hair. He's got bald spots. You can see his scalp. If you look at his hair, you can see his scalp. Like kind of how you can see mine a little bit over here. He's got all manner of, open areas. Tristan does. So those guys are on test. No question. No fucking question. And if you look at their physiques and you look at their physiques from years ago before they got on testosterone, before Andrew lost his hair, they're different. And they worked out just the same. They're bigger now. They're definitely enhanced. And to be millionaires with large followings that are doing content and whatever, yeah, they should be enhanced. They're definitely enhanced. Definitely enhanced. Yep. I don't think they're running like, orals or anything. I just think they're running high doses of test. That's what I think. And those guys are 6'2" or 6'4", so they have good genes generally, for that, just to be formidable, manly looking. But I don't think there's any question that they're on test. I think there was even some divulging of Andrew's blood work in which his free testosterone was above the range. You don't get the numbers that Tate had on his blood work without being on androgens. You just don't get those. Rod Farva has PSSD on TRT real provider and HCG 3 weeks so far at 50 milligrams, zero benefits or side effects. It's not an indicator of AR dysfunction. It's an indicator of a bad protocol for you personally. Again, there's so many different assays. You got to try each one. You got to try boluses at once to see if you need everything at once. And if all else fails, DHT itself with testosterone and HCG. And also maybe you need to run DHA and pregnenolone as well with your protocol. I mean, I've seen DHA really, really help people's TRT protocols. Okay, English is bad. Okay, can you compare the two esters of testosterone, cypionate and propionate to enanthate? Yeah, cypionate and well, okay, so they're all different actually. Cypionate is just a very slow build of testosterone, stays around the whole time. Your levels stay elevated. You get no trough unless you're injecting once a week or twice a week. And even twice a week, you kind of stay pretty even with a bit of a trough. Enanthate, you have more of a peak and more of a trough, but it's still pretty stable, but less stable than cypionate, which is good because that peak is kind of good. It's good. I have less, I really didn't have many side effects aside from too high of a dose for me personally at the time of enanthate. But I didn't have any weird side effects that I would get with cypionate, so it comes with less side effects for some people, me included. Cypionate takes longer to clear, enanthate takes a little less long to clear, but still long to clear. They both take a while to dial in because they're going like this, so you don't even know where you're at week 2. How you feel at week 2 is going to be different than how you feel in week 4. So it's wise to not make changes until week 4 of a new enanthate or cypionate protocol. Prop though, you know how you feel in about a week, 7 days, you'll know, on a dose how everything's going and whatever. And even then, so still erections might continue to get better as you're accumulating more DHT and not clearing it. But prop goes like this instead of, cypionate, enanthate, they go like this basically in terms of elevations in serum testosterone. Prop goes like that. It literally, it's like that. That's what it goes. So peak that day. You're peaking to your peak. And if that's 3,000 at 8 p.m. or 9 p.m., or maybe at 1 in the morning, and you've got just fucking erections all night, you're peaking at 1,000, you're peaking at 3,000 nanograms per deciliter, or 1,500, depending on your dose. So you can change your dose really quickly with prop because you know how it's affecting you very quickly. You get more peaks of everything. It's a little more forgiving on estradiol, so estrogen is not sticking around, so you probably get less estrogenic side effects despite having high estrogen on the bloods. It's different. It's different than the same amount of estrogen, but with induced by a long ester, because it's just staying there, binding to tissues. So that's essentially what the big differences are. Is it possible to be on finasteride or dutasteride with optimal sexual function? Yeah, some people do it because they're genetically resilient, or their penile tissues are resilient to the inhibition of DHT, and it's not being inhibited completely. Yeah, like erections, in all the studies on this, it's very clear that dihydrotestosterone is the active androgen in the restoration of erectile function in castrated rats, as an example. In rats given testosterone by itself, they've got restoration of erections. You give them testosterone with finasteride, they don't have restoration of erections. Pretty cut and dry, right? It's DHT. But you give them testosterone plus dihydrotestosterone, and then they have restoration of erections with finasteride in the picture. So DHT is it. DHT is it. As long as you can control your DHT, which might mean that you get less of the scalp. It's like if you have, I think dutasteride is topical, is it not? So I mean, you could probably inhibit some of that scalp DHT, but you would need, in order to prevent this completely, you'd need oral DHT powder, man. I really think so. Or you need to, have DHT cream and probably rub it on the junk. So you want to not block local conversion of testosterone to DHT in penile tissues via 5-alpha reductase 2. You want to not block that. And you're going to block it with finasteride or dutasteride. But if you have DHT on hand, that might help that not to happen as much. But some people, though, it doesn't seem to bother them, It might not be going systemic as much, or it might not be affecting DHT at penile tissues as much. There's a host of reasons why some people get problems and some people don't on it. Okay. Oh, Tristan got a hair transplant. Didn't know that. I also think they're enhanced, but didn't think they seem to lose any size in prison. No. Nope. Yeah, I don't know if they were still using, androgens. They probably ate a good bit and worked out. That's what they look like. A lot less lean, both of them when they came out. And Andrew looked big. So they probably worked out. I don't know if they actually had access to their androgens because maybe they're not prescribed. Who knows? Who knows? Probably not. Probably not prescribed. Okay. All right, guys. Let's see. Got some nootropics discussion here. Pretty epic. All right, boys. I'm gonna end the stream. I've got a run to go on, and then I got some stuff I got to take care of here in the city. Great chatting with you today. I've got content coming this week, so I'll be back to regular content this week. Last week was very busy. A week prior, I had to go see my sister have a baby, so there's that. But we'll be back to regularly scheduled content this coming week. Again, Torque Nootropic Stack is buy one get one free. Best nootropic stack you're going to get your hands on right now. I mean, this stuff should be illegal. I made a very, very powerful stack. Most purchased stack on the internet. If you want the black box of nootropics, okay, get this stack. I built it myself. It's buy one get one free right now. The code for that is in the description of this video. You're gonna fucking love the stack. Great chatting with you guys. I hope you have a great rest of your Saturday. Have a great rest of your weekend. I hope you're ready for the fall. It's coming. And yeah, let's embrace it while we can. Winter's gonna suck, but it comes every fucking year. So we just gotta deal with it, brother. All right.